Hello, champions. See, I know that a lot of you guys are going to go for placements and are going to go for interview very soon. You might be in third year, fourth year, second year, or maybe first year now, and you want to prepare for interviews, for placements very soon, but you don't know how to go about it. Now, see, I've had an opportunity of seeing almost 150, 200 seniors and batchmates of mine getting placed in front of me, and I found a pattern of what was really right for them and what went right for them, literally. And I wanted to share that with you guys. All of these are going to be practical advices that, according to my perspective, was something that helped them in getting placed. So let's get into it. So now the first advice that I like to give you is that you have to make your communication skills an asset, and there is no excuse for it. I have seen a lot of my batchmates, and the first 50, 60 students who were placed in my batch and in my senior batch, there was one thing common in all of them, and that was they were really good with their communication skills. There were students in those 50, 60 who were not great with their numbers. There were students who were really great with their numbers. But one thing that was common in all of them was that they were really good with their interview and presentation skills. And I cannot stress this anymore. It should not be an excuse that if you're scoring 82%, 83%, 85% in, your marks are really good, it's not that because of high marks, you should stop working on your communication skills. That should not be the way to go about it. You should not think that way, I'm telling you. And the best way to practice it, the most practical way I found when I was preparing for it was that go for mock interviews. And I've said this in my previous videos as well. Go for as many mock interviews as possible. Now you can go for group discussions and debates as well, and there are various societies and colleges, that would help you in placements. That would help you in interview skills and presentation skills and improving them. But particularly for me, the most practical way was going for mock interviews with your batchmates, with your friends. Take one batchmate of yours who speaks really well, or maybe who is at par at speaking, and then just make a habit with him of taking one interview every day and improve your communication skills. That will increase your confidence drastically and will really help you. Do maybe close to 150, 200, 300 interviews, and make it a habit of doing it at least once a day, or maybe once in 2 days. But that is something that you have to get it in your schedule throughout the day, after the classes or whatever. But and don't take it lightly. I'm telling you, don't take it lightly. And otherwise, I have seen students. I have seen some very good friends of mine who are really good with their academics, who are really, really, really good with their academics, but just because they were not really good with communicating, presenting themselves, or expressing themselves in the interview, they just failed. And that was something that really, aches my heart. But that's true. The second practical advice, according to me, that I like to give you is that start working on your internal marks, starting from first year itself. I've seen throughout this journey of 4 years that the students who perform really well in internals are the ones who really end up scoring really well in their end semester examinations as well. And yeah, they may be really good with their academics as well at the same time, but the students who are really scoring well, maybe our internals were out of 380 marks, I guess, right? And out of 380, if you score a 350 or a 360 or maybe a 340, it's very likely that you are going to be in really high numbers when the results come out. But if due to some reason you score really less in your internals, maybe close to 310 or 300 or 320, so it's going to be very difficult for you to attain good numbers in your aggregate, and that is going to be very tough. And this is the most practical advice that I can give you, is attend classes, go to classes, listen to teachers, the internal tests that happen, score in them. But anyhow, just get really good numbers in internals. 340, 350, that is fine. But don't get less than that, because if once you score a 340 or 350, it's going to be very easy for you for scoring good in externals and scoring really well in the end semesters when the results comes out. So this is one of the most practical advices that I can give you. I've seen a lot of batchmates of mine who were really good with their internals, who capitalized on that, and eventually were placed in really good companies because they had really high numbers. They had really high numbers, and that was the differentiating factor. Externals में क्या होता है कि almost everyone is having 19-20 numbers. Somebody is having 53, somebody is having 58. The numbers are very close. but it's the internal marks that make all the difference, and you don't take it lightly. I did that mistake of taking it lightly, and my marks were not really good. My marks were close to 320. At times it was 370, 325, not more than. But really, the students who really worked hard for the internals and scored 340, 345 were the ones who were reaping the fruits out of it. At the end of 1 year, at the end of 2 years, they were having really high aggregate as compared to all of my batchmates, as compared to me. And that was something that I give credit to them. They worked really hard when nobody else was, working hard. So that is the second practical advice according to me. So the third advice that I'd like to give you is go for as many technical certifications as possible. See, I had an opportunity, as I said, of seeing a lot of batchmates, and a lot of them who were getting placed and who were really scoring and doing well in their interviews were the ones who wrote a lot of research papers, who had a lot of technical certifications. There are various websites that provide technical certifications on marine engineering, equipments, auxiliaries, watchkeeping. Apart from that, naval architecture. There are so many websites that are already available, and you can go on that websites. And I'm sure you are already aware. And if not, I'll leave that in the description, and I'll let you know of what are the websites where you can go and you can see where you can go and you can do those technical certifications. Now, what happens in an interview is that if you really do these technical certifications, the interviewer asks you questions related to it. And if you can answer that, that impresses the hell out of the interviewer. That is going to really help, and that is really going to, help you get that score up in that interview. And it's going to help you get through the interview process, because that is going to make you unique, because people generally don't go for technical interviews as much. And if you are doing that, that is going to help you answer questions related to, maybe if you go for a technical certification on an NerdCat system. A NerdCat system is something nobody else generally goes for certification. Now, if you answer questions related to that in an interview, you are going to stand out. So that is the point, and that is what I am trying to say. Go for as many technical certifications as possible. Now, after this, the fourth, according to me, advice for you guys for placements is going to be that you have to understand, before sitting for an interview, you have to understand the selection process and the selection procedure for the company, and you have to prepare according to it. There are companies that take only interviews. There are companies who take written and then they take interviews. There may be technical rounds and things like that. There is an HR round. So you have to read about the company, and you have to know about the company. What is the process of hiring? You might talk to seniors, and you might talk to your batchmates. You might talk to people from other colleges. But just understand the process, and after that, prepare accordingly. If there is a written test, go and learn for that and prepare for that written test. Right? You cannot ignore that okay, I am really good with my 12th score, and I'm really good with my numbers, so I'll clear that. No, you don't have to ignore that. You have to open up, and you have to know from your seniors, and then you have to practice it. If it's asking questions related to quantitative analysis or mathematical reasoning, you have to prepare for it so that you score really well in that written examination. And if there is an interview round, you have to understand what kind of interview does the interviewer take. Ask from your seniors. Is it an HR kind of interview where they ask you only, normal questions related to HR, or is it an interview which is highly technical, or is it a mix of both? What is the interview prioritizing when it's going for the interview? Is it asking questions like, where do you see yourself, and tell me about yourself, and things like that? Or is it asking you questions like, related to turbochargers and things like that, in technical terms? You have to understand that. You have to ask it through your seniors, through your colleagues, through your batchmates, maybe students from different colleges. You have to get those sources right, and you have to prepare accordingly. Don't go haywire, and it should not be that you're preparing for an interview and you are not even sure, what is the process of how the interview goes. That should not be the case. So these are some of the advices that I believe are really practical, and you can use them if you're in first year, second year, third year, and your interview is almost 3 months, 4 months, 5 months from today. So if you really work on this, and it's going to really help you create a very strong resume and create a very strong showable presentable personality. So that's was the whole idea that I had, and I wanted to share with you. And I'm sure this is something that might be very helpful for you when you'll be going into the interview. So that's all from my side. Until then, remain legend.